Take your seats. Roll call.
Here. Here. Here.
Here. Here. Here. Here.
There was an executive session held immediately prior to this meeting to discuss litigation and personnel items.
Items for discussion, reappointment for zoning planning attorneys.
Okay, it's my understanding that how many, one of each is up in January. So you guys need to decide what you want to do. Whose terms are up?
Yeah, on zoning, it's Larry Boga, on planning, it's Dan Thorpe.
So, there's no legal requirement to do anything. You could just make a motion to reappoint them. You could open up for advertising, sort of in your guys' hands with however you want to handle that.
They both want to serve? Yeah, they're both want to serve.
We received a letter from Larry already, asking for your appointment.
And I think Dan was just put on, so I imagine
Yeah.
he was literally, I think it's only been like 2 or 3 meetings.
If they're both interested in doing it again, I'm okay with it.
I agree.
We're doing a motion for it?
Make a motion if you want.
Make a motion to reappoint Larry Boda.
Oh, okay, we're gonna put it on the next agenda. That's fine.
So they came that?
Writing to the letter.
Citizens to address agenda items. Cindy Rosen.
The last time that I'm going to read. The last time we gathered in planning and a commissioners meeting, there was a request to slow this procedure down, not speed it up, which is what we are doing. We have 2 Huntley and Huntley hearings. One starts at 6 o'clock, which means that that's hard for people to attend. We've got an Invenergy hearing, which is December 20th. That's a Thursday before the holiday, the weekend of the holiday. And it's at 5 o'clock, which makes it impossible for people to attend. There's a question, not just by me, but on Facebook, as to why there are these meetings at those times, making it very difficult. Are you trying to stop people from coming? So that's something I think that you should think about. There was a post on Facebook over the weekend reminding of everyone of Invenergy's Turks to the township, and he's a friend of Castoros. He said that Invenergy's promised ball fields, to rebuild Forest Hill Road, to fund a sanitary plant and a pump house, to build new schools, and to give a large amount of tax money. However, the assessment for Invenergy is only 15 mil, not 350, which is what the property is worth. In reality, Grace Harbor Power Plant that's involved within Invenergy has 10 years of litigation because Invenergy does not want to pay the prices of their host agreement. The Village of Forest has a gag order regarding the payment of host agreements. Again, there is a disagreement as to what is being paid, and they're not allowed to discuss it in public. The residents have filed lawsuits in New York, Oregon, Wisconsin, Nebraska, California against Invenergy. There's a suit with the Department of the Treasury, and ongoing litigation with Burrville and the Jessup plant. I also remember Invenergy told us when they came here the first time that the residents are not going to have to pay an electrical bill. The most fundamental that's a word I can't say on my paper. The tool of Planning Commission is zoning. There are regulations here for the use of the land. We do have zoning in place. The way that the planning and the commissioners have this set up defies our zoning rules. The way Huntley and Huntley, the way it is, if we do what's on the table here, it will change the township forever. I've been at planning meetings when the Planning Commission has asked Huntley and Huntley as to how they want it written, they are ignoring the residents. There's a place for Invenergy that doesn't change the zone, but it's near one of the commissioners' property. There are ways that Huntley and Huntley can be done without conditional use. So my question is the people here voted at the beginning of the month overwhelmingly rejected what you're pushing here. I think we need to take a lot of time and really think about what we're doing instead of pushing it through the end of the month.
Thank you.
And I talked for 3 minutes.
Karen Howell?
That speech is 2.5
She
minutes.
stole my thunder. But I have a few things I want to ask you, and that is, are you aware how much power you have right now? I hope you do, and I'd like you to think about respecting it, because you were elected to be in these offices here, okay? You're the board, and whatever you do with your power, you have to be responsible. I mean, with power is responsibility. And I don't hear this from anyone. You know, we're your constituents. And you know, all of us in the township. So this isn't like if you make a decision and it's yours for you, it's like, wow, that was a stupid thing for me to do for myself. No. If you don't take time and really, really look this over and really think about this, you're talking thousands of people are in your hands. Thousands. Okay? And I need for you to think about that, because see, I'm old. And it's not going to affect me, except that my real estate will be zero when you bring inventors in. But I've already made peace with that. But what I haven't made peace with is the fact that I have lived under 2 generations of screw-ups with the mining companies. I get down to Driscoll's and I watch, I watch the water flow that has salt. It'll do that for what, another 1,000 years? I lived in a house, 9 years old, collapsed in one side of the house because this big room fell, undermined. If people want to put buildings on areas, my corner of my house fell in. You have to think this through. This is your legacy. You know, you will be the ones people will come to if this goes south. Invenergy are bullies. They don't live here, they're guests. They come into our house. We own the house. You don't have to make decisions just like that. You're in the powers. You're the power. Take your time, people. Give us a break. Okay, my time is already up. Tick-tock, tick-tock. I want you to just throw us a bone. Throw us a bone. Give us some time here. Show us what we are really going to get from this. Because these people have way more money. They're going to be taking way more money than they're giving you. That's all I got to say. Have a nice Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Richard Algieri?
Hello, my name is Rich Algieri. I live in the township for 50 years. By the way, thank you for letting me the opportunity to speak. I currently have 3 businesses here in the township. I own Rich's Parkside, the Betsy Shops, and I also have an excavating business here for 25 years. I purchased the barn in 2009. When I got the location, we had to have it dye tested. So my issue is we recently found that we have a separate sewer tap coming from my separate building that was an old train station at the time, and then converted to a house. Now it's a dilapidated garage that is pretty much an eyesore. I've sunk a lot of money into that business, and I intend to sink a lot more into it. Well, when we had it dye tested, we assumed that everything was to one pipe. Well, the gas company had drilled their gas line through my sewer, which laid water in it when I had an A1 test through a camera that was required by Allegheny County Plumbing Division. In the midst of all that, I get a notice from the township that you guys want to charge me $6,000 for a separate tap, which is already existing. I'm not sure why you guys are doing that to a local business owner, but that's why I'm here today. I'm a little nervous, so excuse my being excited because I haven't slept in about 2 weeks since I got this notice. So I had my master plumber, Gordon Weimer, was there, and Allegheny County Plumbing Division, Tom Ruffin, had approved everything on their end. And I had spoke to the attorney from the sewage division, I guess, and he keeps pushing the fact that I need to pay the $6,000 tap that's already underneath Donner Street. It's already there, it's a 6-inch pipe. I have a report from the plumbing division if you guys would like a copy. It was cambered, I have it on disc. So I'm not sure where to go from here, so I guess that's why I'm here, I'm asking for your help.
So the second tap that you have, it's in a non-existing, you're not using it, it's just attached to a garage, or you're using it?
I have used it, yes. I drag a hose down there to clean refrigerators out. But I'm dragging the hose from my bar, which I'm paying the sewage on it anyway, because I'm using
Yeah,
water.
so the reason is, and you didn't talk to me, but you probably talked to legal tax, or you talked to you.
Yeah, I know that we spoke, I don't know if we.
I haven't spoken to him, but, so there's a value in the tap, so, you know, because obviously we charge a tap fee and we're only allotted so many, so it's our rules and regulations, as I understand it, Brian, that unless you cut and cap that line, you always get billed for that tap, correct?
Yeah,
So if you're using the tap, is that essentially right? Like, if you're using the tap, you have to pay for the tap, so that's kind of how.
yeah, the biggest things at play here are, as we spoke, in the regulations, if you have a detached building, it has to be a separate connection and it's considered a separate customer or tap. I think the confusion here is the differentiation between the physical sewer line, that what you're calling the tap, and the definition of a tap and what it is used for. Even though there's an existing sewer there, a lateral to that garage, because it was not being billed and you aren't a separate customer there, under the regulations, that is not an active tap.
You guys could bill me. I mean, I want it on separate utilities anyway. I'm gonna run a separate gas line, a separate water line. I mean, I'm looking at putting $250,000 into this building, and I feel like you guys are not business friendly. You know, I mean, I pay an enormous amount of school tax, $10,000 between the 4 properties I own in the township. I mean,
Well, and I guess.
you guys are giving me the feeling like,
No, I definitely want to help you.
Yeah, and
I
what,
mean, that's how I feel, honestly. If you put yourself in my shoes, when you discover this tap that's already there, and I understand where you're coming from with the terminology, but that tap was there prior to any of us. That tap has been there a long time, and it is in pristine condition. I mean, why do I have to pay $6,000 for a line that's already there? If you guys want to bill me separately, I want that anyway, because then I can keep it separate from the bar. All my utilities will be separate. I already have the 600 amp service to provide it up. So when I do this pizza shop and ice cream shop down there, it's gonna be on its separate utilities. This way I keep it separate from the bar business. You know, I guess I'm coming to you guys for your help. I guess you guys have the authority to look at this situation as like, okay, this is a unique situation. It's not like I'm just building this building and putting a new system in. The system has been existing prior to any of
And
this.
it's on a separate parcel for this building.
It's all on one parcel.
But is
Everything
it-
is on one.
but is it a
everything-
separate building though? Is it a separate building?
It is a separate building.
And it was, my question is, I mean, you know, as a business, you know, I'm all in favor of helping a business owner out, and I would like to see if we could do some research, because if it was an old train station, maybe that tap was purchased years ago. I mean, if it was a separate, if it,
already been paid for.
it may have already been paid for, and, you know, but, I mean, I would like to help, but I would like to see what we could do as a board to at least look into this and kind of kick it back to Brian and see what we could do to help, because, I mean, we have too few business owners in this township, so.
And what I was gonna say was the way this all came up, Joel notified me that this process was going on, that was not set up as a customer. I talked to Billy, and just to make sure that, you know, the regulations as they stand were stated, we sent the letter. This is the first that's being discussed here, and I don't know among the commissioners how much you have been, made aware of it, so.
As far as I looked into it, I can find zero record of a line fee ever being paid, which made me then come to you.
Yeah. So I guess what I would say is, you know, all I can do is state what the regulations say and tell you from my standpoint how I interpret those, but I would say if you guys want us, or if you want to look into this further and you have questions specific to how the regulations should apply to it, I can, you know.
I think you also want to look at the issue, is this a unique situation? You know, obviously, I mean, I think that's what it comes down to.
And I agree with that. If it was a train station, yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's one thing, but if this is a singular issue, then I think
We can help them out.
Well, I mean, what's interesting to me is he said there's already a sewer line already there, you know what I mean? So if there's already, it's not like he's, you know, taking a sewer, so the sewer line that's there goes into the main already?
Yeah, we have the camera, but it goes underneath Donner Street, so in turn, I guess if I have to put a new tap in, I'm also take the road up, which is.
But there's already one there, is what you're saying, basically, right? I mean, it's already, yeah,
But
so,
it's the fact that he's backfilling, you guys have to look at that at all.
well, that would probably be our fault if we didn't build them, I mean, on a sanitary, so.
I'm just going on what everybody else has been given in my department, you know, every time I've dealt with this situation, I have people who have to pay $42 a month for vacant land to keep their tap open.
Well, this, like I said, when we had this dye tested, when we were required when we purchased it, the bar actually sits higher than the garage. We assumed that bar line came down, tied into that sewer, which then it went across the street. We just recently found it, it's a separate issue. But I do have a copy of the disc, if anybody wants to see it. I can leave it with you. I just asked you if I can get it back.
If you could leave it with the engineer and,
Just to clarify, a statement you just made, when we say if you have to pay a new tap, that doesn't mean that you have to construct a new line. If the county has said okay, and if Veolia for the township has televised it, dye tested it, and the line is in good condition, you can use that line. It's, once again, the term being having a tap, you're paying because there are customers that pay monthly to keep up with the system, and that's the theory behind when you go to connect to the system, that initial tap fee is to pay for the capacity that everybody else has been paying for.
I guess if we'd have found that in 2009, I'd have been paying it, or I'd have been paying it.
Right, I just want to clarify the physical condition of the sewer and having to construct a new sewer is separate from whether you are being billed a tap fee as a new customer.
But for me to pay $6,000 when there's a line there, that's, I mean, that's, it doesn't make sense. That's not business friendly, that's all I'm trying to say.
Did you ever get a bill for like 42 months or anything like that?
Because we all assumed that it was tied into one tap. We just recently found out. The Allegheny County Plumbing Division wanted a camera of the sewer when I started this project. So when we did it, there was water in the line. So they wanted to do an exploratory of the street. When we did that, that's when we found the 4-inch gas line that they drilled. Now the gas company had come down, did what they had to do on their end, you know, which left me with, you know, multiple camera bills now, and a plumber and an excavator there. So I'm already tied up over $3,000 in this project. And, you know, I mean, what am I gonna do? I can't leave my lot exposed. You know, it's a safety hazard. I can't have somebody.
Okay, yeah, we'll have the board discuss it with the engineer, we're aware of your issue.
We can help you, we're gonna help.
Yeah, they can help you.
I appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Eric Harder?
You're not a resident of Elizabeth, correct?
You are correct.
Okay, well, I mean, the board can make a thought, I mean, it's up to them, I remember you from the prior hearing, so.
It'll only be a few moments, just to echo the amenity hearing. We were hoping to have this a little bit later. Like someone mentioned before, we had a post that reached over 6,000 people in just a couple of days, and had over 75 comments. Some of those were just kind of locals fighting, but that also explains that this is an important subject for people, and really the one power that people have is influence. And if you take away their ability to present their position, that's really taking away their influence. So you guys all just said that you all want to help that person. I hope you guys do. There's a lot of people out in the public that want help by having time to come to this meeting. Thursday, 5 o'clock before Christmas weekend is a tough time. So just to echo, I'd like for you guys to consider moving January 21st, give us another month and something like that. Thank you.
Ted Grace? Ted Grace?
Yep, Ted Grace is fine. All right. Planning voted on August the 16th of last year to forward the pipeline ordinance to the commissioners. County comments were received on October 16th. This has still not been put forward. When is it going to reach this level?
There were issues that came up legally as far as, from the gas companies. If you recall, we got letters from, I think, like 4 or 5 different gas companies dealing with issues on that. And still working through that. Obviously, we've had a lot happen in the meantime as far as, you know, company hearings and everything else that's been going on. So it's in the process. It's being reviewed.
Right, so the concern is that there are upcoming meetings of the 20th for the planning meeting for the, then the 29th is going to be the public hearing for Apollo B and Plutus, and now December 20th, 5 p.m. for Invenergy. But pro-oil and gas agendas get fast-tracked and conditions to put safeguards in place are delayed, and that's concerning to me.
Actually, that's not true. So, I mean, I think those applications were filed in like August. So, I mean, this is actually under the MPC. We're like beyond the deadlines as far as those go. Go ahead.
The ordinance put forth by Invenergy says, whereas the Board of Commissioners note that basically there is, whereas the Board of Commissioners of Elizabeth Township has determined the township will benefit from job creation, financial benefits, and economic development opportunities created by construction of a natural gas power plant as the beginning of their ordinance. But when it was asked on the July 18th Planning Commission directly at the end of that meeting, lawyers for Invenergy were asked directly, has a host agreement been discussed or negotiated with the township? And Invenergy lawyers said, no, there's not been a host agreement discussed. There is grant money that's been in place, I'll give you in a second, but I'll take up the time to do that. Given enhanced rails to trails improvement, this article came in from today's paper, improving healthy lifestyles, improving trail communities is why they say this needs to be done. A power plant is not something that does either of those things. The proposed ordinance is for permitted use for power plants with stacks as high as 200 feet. No conditions can be put forth if it's a permitted use. If 50 acres can be found, a power plant can be put anywhere if they want. This was passed as permitted from planning because they could only accept or reject the ordinance, but you can consider other conditions and you need to do that. Jessup was being considered when the first time Invenergy came around, and it went through since that point in time. In 18 months, they are now up and running, and now that they are up and running, in Archibald, which is right next door to them, they're building a new power plant, because power plants breed power plants, and permitted power plants, allowing no restrictions, are going to allow more and more of this to be the case. The Invenergy power plant does not meet our comprehensive plan, and Invenergy does not belong as the #1 power plant with more power plants to come. Please delay this meeting to think about all the different things that are happening and all the ramifications that this is. Please push it back past Christmas break at 5 p.m. In the commissioners' meeting, the following items came up. Residents of Smithdale were left for 40 minutes without emergency services, houses burned down, other issues have come up, and there's no protection for them. Dollar General couldn't have policies enforced against them, and all they are is a store and not an industry. Please consider postponing this.
Patty Hoffman?
Okay, Patty Hoffman, please go to item number 12 on your agenda tonight. I'm going to do this real quick. This authorization does not take prior reservations into consideration. I happen to have a reservation for a Monday before the end of this year, and I don't see anything on there that says that anybody's reservations that are already in there are honored prior to them having this. Okay. That needs to be fixed, and I'm not giving up my reservation.
So it's our word against.
Secondly, I think Mr. Poirier should have to reapply, and we should take applications. He was filling a term, and he should have to reapply and more applications come in. He already voted on something that he had no idea what he was voting on, and he made it perfectly clear to the people in the room that he was was voting on it and why he was voting on it, and he didn't understand it at all. So that doesn't help us when we're trying to go through planning and trying to get something done. Thirdly, go to item number 5, which is the power plant. Why are we doing this? This should be denied now. It doesn't fit what we have. It never changed from the last time. They did not fix all of the things that had to do with the trail and everything else. They didn't do that. And yet we're pushing this through, and we're planning on just saying, yes, we're gonna take more comments on this so that we can do another thing that we push through. And it should not be earlier than in January. There should be an agreement. If you're gonna tell me, no, you can't deny it, which I know you can, but if you have to have this hearing, you should have it in January. It should not be before Christmas. Who's more important? The townships of this here, that live here, the residents? Or is it Invenergy that we have to say, well, they can't possibly give us an agreement that lets us put it into January? Again, on what Ted just said about the trail, if you read in today's paper, the Mon Valley, it says, many of the projects being funded, improvements to local parks, trails, and river access bring opportunities for outdoor recreation closer to home and are the features that help attract families, visitors, and businesses that provide jobs to our communities. And yet at every single time, we are looking at ways to do away with our recreation, from the pump station to the power plant, etc., going up to Chapel Drive. We are looking for ways to do away with all this, and that is not acceptable. Thank you.
Yeah, that was discussed at Reynolds. This is just to, I believe.
All right, I'll amend the motion whenever I make it, exclude any.
I discussed this, Joel Joyce.
Yeah, it was Joyce, I'm sorry.
Does anyone direct?
We wanted to make sure that they're aware that if it's rented, that
They don't get it.
correct.
Russell Urbanic?
I'm Russell Urbanic from 325 High Street. I'm in favor of the zoning map amendment. The land is not suitable for the currently zoned residential use. Remediation of the land could cost tens of millions of taxpayers' dollars before a developer could even invest the money to build for residential use. A power plant would bring much needed, well-paying jobs, and that's what brings people into the township. And additional tax revenue to the township and the school district. I visited 2 similar sized power plants, and they do not produce objectionable amounts of noise. The air emissions are controlled by the DEP and pose no threat to health. Thousands of these similar plants have operated for many years in this country with no ill effects. And as far as the water use of that goes, they're going to do air cooling, so they're not going to be dragging thousands of gallons of water up out of the river. So I think we need to go forward with this power plant. The other item I wanted to talk about was the number 7 on the Apollo well pad for the 2 additional wells. Those wells will work. The permit fees on those are $30,000, $15,000 a well. So we're getting $30,000 right there. There were 5 other wells. They already paid the permit fees for those, $75,000. We've already gotten over $100,000 just in permit fees from the gas and oil. It is going to benefit this township. And the Buddhist well, I think, is going to have 8 wells. So that's over another $100,000 just on the permit fees. So this is good to the township. Thank you.
Conditional use. It's conditional use.
Carol Daly?
Reasons to vote no to the text amendment hearing. Line number 1. Raccoon states that the text amendment was petitioned by Attorney Siddick for Invenergy, but it did not follow procedures according to the PA Municipal Code. Instead, it was rewritten, delayed, and made to appear that it was the township that wrote it. Line number 2. Attorney William Siddick writes it is Invenergy that requests the amendment. False. For this amendment, William Siddick does not sign his name as the legal counsel for any Invenergy LLC subsidiaries. Line number 3. Rakunas keeps renaming the name of the text amendment. Only Invenergy Thermal Development LLC that holds the agreement for Triple C Recycling can petition a text amendment. Attorney Siddick is not their legal counsel. Line number 4. The parcels are used as junkyard. False. The parcels are residential, have no non-conforming permits from zoning, and you need the code officer to stop handing out junkyard permits to residential parcels. Line number 5. It's one parcel consisting of 147 acres. False. It is 7 separate parcels. The larger parcel impregnates Westmoreland County, but the map given to Allegheny County cuts that parcel off at the border. Allegheny County believes it's one parcel and it's within Allegheny County border. Now you involve the county in fraud. Line number 6, the parcels have DEP permits. False. Line number 7, this is not a curative amendment. False. If this truly was submitted by one of Invenergy's LLC subsidiaries, it would be a curative amendment and would have to go through zoning. Line number 8, a power plant will be built on those parcels. False. There are no plants, no financing for Allegheny Energy Center LLC or any future LNG power plants other than CREC. Line number 9, you can rezone the properties to M1. False. Your ordinance is demanding connecting street or highway emanating from the township to that area. There is none. This is a fraudulent manner to rezone 7 residential parcels that are not the code. May contain hazardous materials, abandoned equipment, trailers, and vehicles. In 2015, Attorney Rakunas has stated, it's the blame of the residents to keep the township as a bedroom community. Smithdale, part of Elizabeth Township, is a bedroom community. Move to Clareton if you want industrial, or start paying your fair share of taxes. Residents in Smithdale pay more in school taxes than Green and Clean residents Rakunas and Roderick. Attention should be paid to the staff of gas and pipeline applications since January that require hearings, but this fraudulent manner to rezone historic properties continued to be Attorney Rakunas' dream. But now, since you guys voted to send it to county, you, the commissioners, now implicit in this fraud. But all but Blake, who was a real estate agent, reads contracts, would know that this is fraudulent. Besides, the joke's on you since Rakunas sent it to county last month. Your taxpayers have done all their research in order to protect the residents, which is your job. You must use these legal reasons to deny Attorney Rakunas' hearings because this is just a sampling of the facts to be used for future lawsuits.
Scott Taylor?
Good evening, Scott Taylor, 304 Mohawk. Can someone other than our solicitor please explain why we would agree to hold a public hearing for the proposed rezoning and proposed zoning ordinance 4 days before Christmas at 5 p.m. when many are still at work? And families will be traveling, preparing for the Christmas holiday season. Please, anybody but this guy here that's running everything. No answers there, of course. There are a couple of you that have been publicly in favor of this power plant and have also been very vocal in stating that they want to hear from the public on the issue. By agreeing to hold a hearing a date like this, one can easily argue that you don't care about your constituents. I may be wrong, but I don't believe there is a procedural timelines associated with this. And I don't believe there are concerns of deemed approval with this proposal of this nature. Invenergy has no problem with its proposal sitting around since July of this year. What's the harm of waiting another month? Give public a chance. Say no to the December give public full opportunity to attend as part of the public process. That's what you wanted, that's what Jane wanted, that's what Rob wanted. You all want public input. Here's your chance. Or deny the application outright, like we did the first time around, because as was already stated, this is the same application. Yes, they redid their paperwork to make it proper to go through the legal channels. It's the same application. It's spot zoning, no matter how you slice it. I don't care how big the parcels are. Being that this is dragged on so long, has someone been negotiating, way back up here? We completed the pipeline ordinance. We've got all these issues that are still standing out there. Why waste our resources on chasing this rabbit down the hole again? We got pipeline ordinance that's still sitting out there. Comprehensive plan, it needs to be done desperately, but we seem to not have the time for it, and everything that we're doing here relies on it. Sewage, well, let's kick that can down the road for another 20 years. Being that this has dragged on so long, has someone been negotiating with Invenergy? Has some kind of a deal been agreed to that would drive this decision to make it sooner than later? I could be wrong, but I don't think information like this is privileged and should be made public. This is not protected under the Sunshine Act. So if there has been any conversations and discussions, I would very much love for you people to make it public, as it should be. I would it is widely known that we are in desperate need of sewage infrastructure. Would a deal for rezoning in return for sewage improvements or capital to be illegal? That's a good question if you guys have with your solicitor. Hopefully somebody's already asking that question. Everyone of you sitting on this board have expressed concerns of doing the right thing to protect the township and the citizens, to follow the law. You all swore an oath to do as much the day you took that seat. I, for one, feel concerned, do not feel my concerns are taken seriously. I've pretty much been told that by Mr. Kuzma.
Scott, you're 3.5, come on.
All right.
When did I say that?
You have.
Okay.
But there's Scott Taylor again, there's Fred Martin again, you're right.
Finish what you have to say.
And it's my belief that the citizens that actually pay attention, which are those in this room, not everybody else still sitting at home, to what's happening in this township are growing less and less confident in officials' abilities to govern this township. We are prepared to hold you accountable.
Fred Bickerton.
I'm Fred Bickerton. I wanted to check, John, have we found out anything about the junkyard Castor property yet?
No, nothing we got to leave the office.
Has anything been finalized with the Dollar General?
Yes. They've noticed a citation actually went out, there's going to be hearings set up, so they're being cited, they're beginning daily cited, excuse me.
Okay, it's only taken us what?
During the December?
Almost 6 months?
Pardon me?
You know, we got Invenergy, when they made their presentation to the Planning Commission, they had all kinds of pictures of the hazardous materials, calling this Castor property a brownfield site. Now, either it's a brownfield site and they should be cited for the problems, or Invenergy's lying about this. If it's not a brownfield site, then there's no reason to cite them, and Invenergy's lying. If they're lying, why are we even talking to these idiots? You know, we can't control small companies. How are we going to control a big company that has a reputation for rolling over people? These people have gone in several locations. They've reneged on agreements that were already made by their predecessors to pay the municipalities for millions of dollars. Are these the kind of people we want to deal with? I sure don't. I want to deal with people that are honest.
Okay, item for consideration.
Excuse me, could I please, I came in late.
Yeah, if you could just.
have a couple of things, try to be brief. Mr. Roderick, several people gave me this Facebook post this summer. You and Nick Cohen at a Steamfitters meeting. It seems that you're touting jobs for union workers as a result of your support of the Invenergy plant. If that's the case, I believe that this is a very significant conflict of interest. You're not representing my interests as your constituent and a person who lives beside this plant. So I would request that you recuse yourself from any further voting on Invenergy. A second thing that I wanted to comment on is the Castoro site itself. I live beside it, and I'm very familiar with it and have been for many years, as are our neighbors. There is an enormous amount of junk and garbage there. It's a brownfield site. I don't believe that I've heard Invenergy say that they're going to clean it up. They are not putting their power plant on the brownfield site. They want to put their power plant on the upper portion of it, which is second growth hardwood forest. The last thing I wanted to say is that on Friday afternoon, when I saw the agenda that you were scheduling a hearing for December 20th at 5 p.m., I was beyond disappointed. I am incredibly disturbed. I don't know what's going on. I suspect that Invenergy is pushing you, and you're responding by caving into whatever their demand is. I don't believe it is fair, moral, or ethical to hold a hearing for something like this 5 days before Christmas at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It is absolutely unacceptable, and I hope that you're all ashamed of yourselves.
Okay, items for consideration. Number one, motion to approve the general fund.
While we're on this subject, could I ask a question? Do we have to have this hearing on the 20th of December?
The agenda's already set. You guys can vote the way
Some
you
of
want
us,
to vote.
pardon me?
Just vote the way you want to vote. The agenda's already set.
I want legal advice, that's all. We'll address it then. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll address it then. Yeah, we'll take care of this.
Yeah, he was just saying, the agenda says if you want to vote that, vote that.
No, I want some answers before I want to be responsible.
You don't even need to have it here.
No, you don't.
I'm asking you, Computer, that's what I want to know. Do we have to have it?
No, you don't have to have it here.
That's up to the solicitor.
We don't vote for him.
Yeah, he's the one who
pay
said
him.
we pay him.
All right, Jamie, would you like to speak?
And just for the record, you're a non-resident.
I am a non-resident, correct.
Can I just get an example, please?
Sure.
For sympathy, the picture on the front page is a picture of my father. He was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia this year, which the biggest component of risk factors is benzene. I also printed out something else from the National Institute of Health.
Just pull it off, Jane. There you go.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
The second page is a study from the National Institute of Health on the exposure of benzene from natural gas, hydraulic fracturing, and power plants. I know I've been here before and mentioned, the effects of health on your residents. I'm a big advocate for health. I have a fitness business. My dad worked in this township for 32 years of his life, educating a lot of the residents here. He worked at Elizabeth Forward at the junior high, and he worked at the high school. It's very disheartening that you don't listen to your residents. They're telling you they don't want this here. I don't want it across the river from Sutersville because it's going to affect me too. So even low levels of exposure to these chemicals is very detrimental. Go to the 7th floor of Shadyside Hospital and look at how many people are sitting there with chemo bags, all from exposure to chemicals and hazardous material. And all you're doing if you allow this to happen, is exposing your residents to these chemicals. There is no price for a human life. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Items for consideration. Number one, motion to approve the general fund ballot warrant dated November 19th, 2018, amount of $280,986.92.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Summerall?
Yes.
Commissioner Walk?
Yes.
Commissioner Cosmo?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Evans?
Yes. Motion to approve the cemetery fund bill warrant dated November 19th, 2018, amount of $134,225.37.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Summerall?
Yes.
Commissioner Walk?
Yes.
Commissioner Cosmo?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Evans?
Yes. Motion to adopt the proposed changes to the civil service rules.
So moved. Second.
Question on the motion?
I have a question. Could you get those for Joe? I still want civil service.
Yeah, I asked Chief if he could give them to the counties.
Okay. All right, thank you. Oh, I thought you said me. All I heard was Jay.
Roll call vote?
Commissioner Summerall?
Yes.
Commissioner Walk?
Yes.
Commissioner Cosmo?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Evans?
Yes. Motion to advertise commission meeting dates for 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passed. Number 5, motion to set, advertise, and send appropriate notices for public hearing for proposed zoning ordinance and zoning map amendment for Allegheny Energy LLC to be held on December 20th, 2018 at 5 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion?
Question. Can we have this postponed?
Legally, it is a bad time to do it around Christmas. It's one of many of the reasons. Some of us might be out of town, you know. If we can do it in January, somewhere around after New Year's, then we can at least try to act responsible for this group.
There's no legal reason to have it.
Yeah, you don't have to, there's no legal reason to even have it. No legal reason to have it at all.
We're still
You don't have to do it, but yeah, you can change it if you want, so.
First, we have a motion, and a second. Roll call vote?
Commissioner Summerall?
No.
Commissioner Walk?
No.
Commissioner Cosmo?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
No.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Evans?
Yes.
Cowards.
Number 6, motion to advertise ordinance 939 fixing the tax rate for the year 2019 at 3.926 mils. The tax rate for general purposes, the sum of 3.426 mils, and the tax rate for the fire service, the sum of 0.500 mils.
So moved.
I'll second.
Question on the motion?
I'd just like to say that, there's no tax increase for 2019.
I think it's about 19 years.
It's longer than that.
Roll call vote.
Commissioner Summerall?
Yes.
Commissioner Walk?
Yes.
Commissioner Cosmo?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Evans?
Yes. Number 7, motion to ratify the advertisement and set the public hearing for the conditional use application from Huntley Energy Exploration for 2 additional wellheads at the previously approved Apollo B well pad for November 29th, 2018 at 6 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion?
I have a question. That does not include Plutus, right?
Plutus is already previously advertised. This is the ratification. We were unable to get the advertisement in the paper in time for the original hearing date, so we had to move it.
Okay.
Roll call vote.
Commissioner Summerall?
Yes.
Commissioner Walk?
Yes.
Commissioner Cosmo?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Evans?
Yes. Motion to approve street construction's quote in the amount of $4,990 for installation of new exterior doors to the municipal building.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Clisholm?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
President Evans?
Yes. Motion to approve $1 hourly wage increase for Joyce Crafton effective November 19th, 2018.
So moved. Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
No.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Clisholm?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
President Evans?
Yes. Motion to appoint Horner, Weidel, and Trade PC to perform the 2018 year-end audit for all Elizabeth Township funds.
I was one ahead of you. Okay.
Do you want to change your vote?
Absolutely.
Number 9 is a vote yes.
I was thinking Michael.
Okay. The motion to appoint Horner, Weidel, and Trade PC to perform the 2018 year-end audit for Elizabeth Township funds, including sanitation, in the amount of $13,950.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion?
Yeah, I have one. Why are you missing?
Well, I think we should get more, bids.
No one else.
No one else.
I know, but I think we should go ahead and, I'm not too happy, I don't think they did this was thorough, so my personal opinion, don't affect, and, they were very late.
Right.
We didn't have it finished till September. And our DCEE, report should have been in April first, but it's personal, I'm not trying to.
And we can RFP it, so I mean, that's what we got, so.
Okay.
Is what it is. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Still about it.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Vote your conscience.
Commissioner Clisholm?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
No.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
President Evans?
Yes. Motion to authorize waiving the fees for Compassionate Friends Funeral Wedding Ceremony for the community center on December 9th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Clisholm?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
President Evans?
Yes. Motion to authorize Mount Vernon Presbyterian Church Youth Building One at the Community Center on Monday evenings from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. for their meetings through the remainder of the school year and waive all fees.
I'll make a motion and I'll amend it to exclude them from any previously scheduled events.
Second.
Some people already have their.
Yeah, there's some people already. Any other questions on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Clisholm?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
President Evans?
Yes. No other business before this board. We wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a motion to adjourn. There was a motion to adjourn.
All right, well, even though we're after, I'd like to ask, we had two commissioners sit here and ask if we could postpone this hearing. This solicitor sat here, they asked a question of you. You are to advise them. You didn't.
Them to say, if you don't want to move it, vote no. That's exactly what I said. They check the record.
Agenda will say they can vote the way they want. The meeting is over. Yeah, we can.
As president, I have to tell you that I respect your integrity when any kind of vote comes up about the fire companies or the firemen. You always abstain because you do have a vested interest. And so I think someone that accepted money in the presence of Invenergy should abstain from voting on anything that has to do with the power plant. Picture speaks 1,000 words. So I think y'all should take a vote and see if you want Mr. Roderick to abstain from voting on Invenergy issues. He took money from the Teamsters. Why can't you?
Because this board would say we can't legally lose
Yeah, I know.
an elected official.
You take money, I have it in my car about the legal
standings of if somebody that has a vested interest in something that you're going to vote on for this township, they have to abstain, like you did with the bar companies because you had a vested interest. He had, and I understand what I'm saying. I have the answer in my car, I didn't bring it in.